brilliant.
Good morning.
Brilliant. Morning. I sound like I'm from the South. I don't know if that does sound like it. I don't know if I can do an American accent very well, but if I can do, that's the closest I can
That's
come with a Southern accent. Yeah,
oh,
it's amazing. When we first got here and I first heard a true Southern accent, we were Arkansas. We just laughed. It was just too funny because it's
yeah,
something
it's
seen on TV only, and it's like, wow, this is actually real. It was too amazing to us. It's too brilliant. It's too brilliant. This is too incredible. We were taking the Greyhound bus at the time. We came here on
oh my
vacation, and for
gosh.
whatever reason, we came in New York, and we said, "Well, that's a good way to see the country." So we took the ground bus all the way from New York to Los Angeles and back again.
Wow.
Yes,
Oh
wow.
my gosh, that's fantastic though.
Yeah, that is an experience I would recommend people do at some point. Just to, even if it's a fairly shortish trip, just go. Take a Greyhound from one city to another. You see a side of America you don't see otherwise.
Yes, I definitely, when we drive now, that is so true.
Right. It's a whole other experience and perspective. It's really something. It's really something. So, it's a different just group of people in general. And just a whole different culture, society, engagement, everything. It's just different. It's not stuff that unless you're in that people are at least from where we are operating from now. This is not a side we connect to. So
No,
it
no,
opens
it's
your
very, it's
mind a
very,
little bit. Yeah, it's
it's
really
very different right now.
yeah. Yeah, even riding city buses, but on city buses you still have a broader mixture because you get some kind of professional people and all that ride the bus just for convenience, for whatever reason. So it's a broader mix than the Greyhound. Greyhound is very much necessity. Say again, Beena?
Sorry,
Mom?
Oh,
sorry. I
ah,
was talking to Amy. I
ah,
had to take some medicine
oh. She had to take some medicine because of something.
because I'm having pain in my neck, back of
Oh, oh.
stress.
Oh dear, Beena, I hope I'm not the pain in the neck.
Oh, that's tough. Yeah. Did you hurt yourself, Bina, or?
Actually, whenever I do some drawings, so it is kind of a usual thing for me. Whenever
Ah,
I do some sort of drawing, the process actually gave me a bit of stress.
wow, Bina. Wow. Bina did a drawing um session, of one of the group free ones that Frauke does. And I'm
Yes.
supposed to support Frauke, so she was doing that. So.
Okay. Let me see. If you're gonna sit here with me, you
Brilliant.
gotta.
Brilliant. Yes, we see your head. We see your head.
Yeah, she's.
Right.
I gotta call the vet for her today.
We see your head and we just saw a little bit of Macy's head. So
Yeah,
there you go.
she'll come in
Yeah,
and out.
little more. Yeah,
There we
there
go.
you
Hi
go.
guys.
There you go.
Good
Hello,
morning.
Sue.
Morning.
Morning.
Hello.
I'm
Yeah.
just gonna grab my breakfast. I'll be right back. How's everybody
Yeah.
doing? Good?
Very good. Very good.
Good.
Good. Be
Very
right
I
good.
can
back.
see
We're
my.
more alert than seeing you.
Yes.
I think Traffic cone Sue, we'll call her.
Yes.
It looks
I
nice.
have my. I
I have
have
to
my
tease Sue a
coffee.
little bit. I don't know why, but I have to tease Sue every now and then. It's part of the deal. It's part of the deal. Very good. Very good. Do you use different mugs all the time?
Um. Yes and no. I had certain ones that I like, and these are our Disney mugs
Ah,
that we had gotten. But the reason we had gotten them was because they stack nice.
they what nice?
They stack in
Oh,
the
stack
cupboard.
nicely.
Yeah, in the
Ah.
cupboard nice. So
Hmm.
that's why. But Kevin is still down in Florida. I came back last night
Oh,
because I
oh,
have to go back to work, and He's actually in Florida going to work because they're building
Yeah.
a building down there. So
Yeah, you said he works a lot down there, or the big project down there, so he's down there a lot. Yeah.
yeah, he's going to be down there, and then next month he has to fly to California,
Wow.
and then these are all beautiful, beautiful things that are going on. It's just that it's a lot
Stuff you have
because
to
it was
adapt to.
his company. This is the way it used to be before. Now he's been there for 26.5 years. So
Wow.
prior to him being there, what's going on right now used to happen way back when. And then the whole time he was there, no traveling, no anything. And now it has shifted again. So
Oh, so he hasn't always been traveling.
no, this is all brand new.
Wow.
How was
All
the
brand
Florida
new.
trip?
It was
Okay.
very enlightening.
On what level?
Oh, so many levels. Florida always is a gift.
Let's hear.
Florida,
Let's hear. Let's
Yeah,
hear. Let's
right.
hear. Let's hear. Yeah.
the wonderful thing is, as has been happening, I have been accomplishing a whole lot when I go down there in a short amount of time.
Mm.
And I know we had class the other day, and we were discussing how we were talking about my mood management, the perspective shift, how I was the hearing and listening.
Mm.
And the part that I had missed about this particular trip is that I had put no intention. I had not intended anything on this trip. And when I realized that and became aware of that, I then put that, I intended to put out there what I intended to do while I was down there. And as soon as I shifted, I received a text from my half nephew, Kevin's nephew, and my brother texted me. So I was able to visit my brother. I was able to visit my father. And not only that, on Friday, on the way to my father's house, received a phone call. Well, no, I called them just to confirm about visiting my father, and someone had called me during the week about him moving to memory care. And I had said, memory care? I go, the last I had heard was they were trying to get him into memory care.
Ah.
So, long story short on that, which I will go into it because I need to. I was able to move my father into memory care, and they don't normally allow that on the weekends.
Wow.
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 That is not something that
That's
they
huge.
do, but
Yeah.
with the circumstances and me being down there, they allowed us to do that. And Kevin and I moved my father
Wow.
from the assisted living down to the memory care. And I'm going to become emotional here because when I walked into that room, if you could have seen my father in that room, he was like a caged animal.
Wow.
It was this dark room. He was by himself. His hair, he looks like the Nutty Professor now because his hair is all
Wow.
in beard, but he was just laying in bed in the dark. He had no pants on. At first, thank God for Kevin, because everybody recognizes Kevin, because I changed my hair and everything. So at first he didn't recognize me, but as soon as he saw Kevin, he knew who I was. I look over at his green chair. There was dried poop on it.
Wow.
It was just god awful.
Oh.
Wow.
And by the time we moved him down to where the memory care is, because up there, and listen, I understand too, because it's assisted living. So nobody goes in there. Assisted living is more for
Correct.
people who can
Correct.
take care of themselves more.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
And
not
my
full
father
time.
cannot. He needs constant cueing, which is why they
Yeah.
need to get him into
Yeah. If
memory
there's
care.
poop on the chair, then he needs more regular care. Yeah.
Right. It's not like somebody will come in there and clean it because, again, it's assisted
Right.
living
It's assisted.
unless
Right.
they can say, hey, I need somebody to come in and help me with this.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I
They have to
cleaned it
ask.
up.
Yeah.
I just went in there. I cleaned it up. They brought him downstairs. Kevin and I moved the furniture. um,
Wow.
which was just a bed, a dresser, his green chair, and a TV. And
Wow.
by the time we left, he recognized us. I brushed his hair. I tried to groom him, but the tools I had with me were not possible.
But he
Um,
recognized you at least. That's good, yeah.
and not only that, at one point when we were downstairs, he actually said my name.
Oh.
He actually called me by Robin, and that was pretty
Uh,
cool.
uh,
He's in very much in a loop. He's always been in a loop, but now he is right where he needs to be.
Oh.
And and plus I had a little bit more education on dementia, on how the dips and falls, and down here they're going to force, well, I shouldn't say force them, but they don't bring the food to you. They bring them 3 meals a day. So this way they're walking, getting entertainment, so to speak.
Yeah.
Um, anyway, by the time I left, I felt much better. Loved the room he was in. I know now that somebody will go in there every couple of hours just to check on him.
Yeah.
My dad has always been a person who could just sit in bed and watch TV, and he'll tell you stories, which obviously he can't do now. But as long as somebody was there to cue him kind of where he is now, he'd be content just to sit in bed and watch TV, and he'd be absolutely fine. He's physically there is nothing wrong with that man. He can dress him. He has to be cued to do it, but he could dress himself. He could,
Majorly.
if he doesn't get cued, then he will not. So he can't do anything without being told to do it. Um, fabulous.
Mm.
My brother looked very old. He's very angry. I'm actually a little upset with him because when we did go to visit my father, I just texted him and I just said, "Hey, listen, do you think maybe you could," because my father once again asked for him, not even that he knows who Kevin is anymore, but asked for him
Wow.
as he always has. And I just said, "Hey, do you think maybe you could just say hi? Dad was asking, can you just say hi?" Because, after what I just experienced. And his text back to me was, "Tell him to leave me alone."
Wow.
And
Wow. Wow. What does your father give Kevin, not Kevin, your brother a hard time?
my brother has hated my father for
Oh,
years.
okay. This bad blood. Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
there
maybe it's
is
best then.
real.
Maybe that's best then.
It it is. But now this goes back to, so Sue, I had actually sent to Sil a message that I've always loved my dad's house. I've always felt like home there. But yet I never, because of my brother being there and so controlling,
Mm-hmm.
and even my dad, I mean, obviously it was his house, and my dad, and I could see how my dad has that controlling aspect too. But now that Kevin and I are in charge, as we're there taking care of it, I love that house. I feel more comfortable there than anywhere. I would love to be able to keep that house if possible. But the way my dad did wills, and then financially, I just don't know if it's going to happen. But in the meantime, Kevin and I will continue to go down there. We'll fix things up. We'll keep it running until it can't be running anymore. Or if we have to sell it for dad's care, because dad's care now will go up by $1,200 until he has to go into a nursing home, which they said that's usually what happens is he's fine where he's at. And then at some point with the dementia, it does take a turn where then he would wind up in a nursing home, because then the care that they have there, like it's the next level of
It's
care.
round the clock, right?
Right. And then I had already talked to a lawyer once where when that happens, and that's also why leaving him down there in Florida is best for him in regards to financially for him and the care. And also seeing how we moved him just from upstairs to downstairs, he was confused already.
Mm.
So,
Oh.
but
Wow.
I got angry in the fact of, you know, I shouldn't say angry. I don't know if that is the right word.
Mm.
But nobody, I mean, we are bringing this house, just talking to the neighbors and stuff of how, I've heard about a life that Dad and Zoraida had, which I knew, as I've shared with both of you. My dad was married 3 times. My experience was my parents were married for about 4 years. So I was 4 years old, 4 or 5 years old when they got divorced. And growing up, I would see my dad once a week. And then once I started having kids and getting married, I saw my dad once a year. And then I didn't see my dad at all.
Mm.
And then when Kelly was about 2, I would see them more, and Zerai would now be more open to us because she was Peruvian, and I'm starting to understand now, in that culture, like having stepkids and, that's just not, that was them. So he had this whole life, and it's wonderful. But now I'm here. The daughter has come in and is taking care of the dad, is taking care of the brother, is taking care of the house appropriately. That house was neglected. My dad, as I can tell, because of the way my brother is, even though my brother did very well with getting him to medicines and doctor's appointments, my dad was neglected. Um, and now seeing where he is in this facility, how he had been for almost a year, neglected.
Mm.
And
Wow.
I just,
Mm. Hard thing to say.
it was very hard. Yes, it was very hard. So I almost have this drive now. I will go down there at least once a month, if not every other month, for a weekend and make sure I go see him. I am also okay with that because I see how the dementia has taken over, that, a half hour, 45 minutes is plenty of time to see him until the next time. Um, but I'm going to be the only one.
Mm.
I am going to be the last link. Even my aunt, his sister, because of COVID and everything, she won't fly or do. And I understand. I mean, she's 80 something years old, but that's where I differ. With everything that's going on. When we talk about the feeling in the gut, I feel I have to do something. I'm doing it.
There you go. There you go. You're doing.
So no matter what's going on or what people are telling me is going on, if I feel I need to go see my father, I'm going to see my father.
Right.
And he loved that house. He always wanted to keep it in the family, but he just never. He's like my brother too, very controlling. So he was never able to let go of control of it when he should have let go of control of it, like a few years ago when we were talking to him about different things. And my brother, I had gotten in touch with a lawyer back in the fall to try to help my brother and try to figure out with elder care and what's going on. And technically, my brother could have owned that house because he was the caregiver of not only my stepmother at one point, but my father. And I hate this house. I hate this house.
Interesting.
But as he says, I hate this house, when we went to see him, in the same breath, it's, well, I got to go back to the house because once I'm out of here. So
Mm.
So I don't know what's going to happen. All I know is that I'm going to be appropriate. Now
There you
I'm kind of baffled. I had shared with you last week about Peru calling me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm a little baffled again. Not just in the fact of to keep my guard up.
Yeah.
Because why are you calling me so much now?
Mm-hmm.
And
It's called
what?
again.
Yes, I didn't get to speak to her because Kevin was on a work call. But they just keep calling me. And when I say this, because I think I had shared with you that I have another brother who is like a drug, which was part of the Peruvian side of it. Yeah, is a drug addict, has always been looking out for money and stuff. And it's almost as if everybody's, all of a sudden I had this feeling of, Robin, you've got to be very careful here because nobody is hearing from Dad. Is Dad gone? And everybody wants their fair share. When I went to see my brother, the first words out of his house were, we've got to sell that house because I'm going to need a place to live. And almost as if he's going to get a cut of his money from selling that house so he can go find a place to live. And my thing is, Dad's alive.
Yeah.
That's a will. So my head is spinning. But these are the games that my brother has played with me through the years.
Yeah.
These head games, which is why I have been so confused. And through this, what we're doing has helped me zoom out and really see what's going on here. It's just that I still don't, I got all of the bills that I have to go through. I have to do his taxes. I mean, this is all new stuff for me. But the one thing I do, I'm sorry, go ahead, because I could stop.
Is your brother Kevin, is his mother the Peruvian mother or a different mother?
No, a different, he was from the first marriage.
The drug addict brother is the Peruvian mother.
Yes, and so for that one, just a quick, brief history on that one. We had to get restraining order to keep him away. This was even while his mother was still alive. The sick things and phone calls that we used to get were, I actually had to, at one point, I had to do a well checking and have the police go there to check on my dad to make sure that he was okay. Oh yeah, and then I'm hearing from the neighbors, because the neighbors have been sharing an awful lot.
Wow.
That's how I am starting to get stronger with
Excellent.
as far as I am going to do what's right, not only for others but for myself too, and as appropriate. I mean, Kevin and I went there, and when I tell you we cleaned that house, he went to all the toilets that were starting to just horrible. Like, my dad must have had an accident before he left. Now think about it. My brother never cleaned it up because he swore that he would never take care of my dad that way. That bathroom, there's still stuff all around. I said, I am not going in that one. That bathroom needs to be gutted. But Kevin went in there and did the toilets. We've been fixing them. He bought stripping for underneath because the rats had gotten to the house at one point, into the garage and stuff, and then put stripping under there. And then we had the neighbor over, and I've been talking. She takes it in the mail for us. And then we talked to the husband. So I'm hearing a lot more. And it's funny because when we went down there with Patrick, all the other neighbors were coming out going, so what are you going to do with the car? What are you going to do with this? Because everybody's been in that house. They all know what that house used to be in its heyday.
Wow. Very interesting.
It is very interesting. So
yeah.
I'm sorry to go on, but it was.
No, it's important stuff. It's very important.
I heard, like, when I went to my brother, okay, let's talk about the hearing and listening. Let's bring it all together here. I went, first of all, on the way there, being able to take next steps to set up for my dad. I was able to call in, say, I'm going to be here. What can we do to move my dad to memory care? And boom, it happened.
Yeah.
Next thing that happened was Peru called me, looking on my dad. Now, as I said, Kevin was on the phone, so it was kind of a weird conversation. She never called me back, so I don't know why she was calling me to begin with, because now all of a sudden my head's starting to go, there seems to be more to this than meets the eye. Because next time I speak to her, I would like to share with her that Dad no longer has a phone. Dad is not capable of talking on a phone. That's why I've not heard from him. He's not even able to understand if a phone's ringing to pick it up. If you give him the phone, he'll talk on it.
Yeah.
But he can't make the connection anymore.
Yeah, interesting.
So I do want to share that to let them know that Dad is doing well, but you'll not be able to talk to him anymore. But it also put a little trigger in my head to be aware of, why are you calling me so much? Because Richie had also, every so often when he does this, he reaches out to Kathleen to try to be a friend on Facebook. So I know, and when I went through the mail at my dad's house, there was a delinquent letter for a credit card he had. So Richie's always looking for money, and that's always the way it's been. And so he's probably looking to say, "Hey, where's my cut?"
So be careful of that, where somebody access to the mail and they send in credit cards on your father's name. So as part of your
Yep.
power of attorney, check to see or cancel all the credit cards or put them on hold or something.
Yes, that's why I'm glad I have everything, and I will be getting. I will
Um,
be now following through more so than what I
yeah.
had.
Furthermore, as a strategic measure, make sure that everything connected to your father's will is very, very clear now,
Unfortunately, I had
ahead of
spoken
time.
to the person who had done the will. My dad, but just FYI, the way this will was when this will was made, because Richie had gone to school to be a lawyer. He never became one,
Uh-huh.
obviously. He was part of the making of all these wills.
Ah,
So unfortunately, the way the will is written is the lawyer told me is in the worst possible way.
I've lost.
Well, changing it
Uh,
now.
So
well, what can you do about it? Did the
I
lawyer
am
say?
going, well, that's where I want to talk to a lawyer now, because if I'm the power of attorney,
Yeah, yeah,
there's decisions that I can make for dad. And that's the one thing that I want everybody to know, that this is for dad. And
yeah,
again, I just see that picture of my dad of when I saw him, and that is my dad. That
yeah,
man has done so much for so many people. And even though you two, and I'm talking about the two sons, have your own little whatever, I did not have that.
yeah, yeah,
And so I cannot go on what that's your own stuff.
yeah,
That's not mine.
yeah. And still, though, you just want to be preemptive so that, when the time comes, you don't have all the vultures swooping in and thinking there's a thing. You
And
want to
there's
close
not,
that
I
door
think they think
before it
there's going to
happens.
be this big fortune. And I'm sorry,
Right,
people,
right. And let
there's
them
not.
know is what I'm saying. Just the preemptiveness, because if they don't think there's anything, then they just leave it alone. So be preemptive. So it's all going into his care. Which it is.
It
All
is. And
right.
there's
And even if you
longevity in our
keep the
family.
house, you can rent it and use it to pay for his care and upkeep.
Yes. That's one thing the lawyer had said. So yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. It's better to have an income producing asset than to sell it and you just, use that money and once it runs out, it's gone, so. Yeah.
Yeah, the primary intent is never losing sight of this is
Well,
for your father. That
exactly.
that whole money thing, it happens in every
Exactly.
family.
Yeah.
Everybody, sees
Yeah.
green and then they want their fair share. But yeah, whatever you can do, if you can, to change that in your father's best interest would certainly behoove. You know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Uh,
Just to save yourself aggravation, to be
Yes.
preemptive.
Yeah.
You know what's coming, so be
Right.
preemptive.
Yeah. Because this is the written law here. This is what I'm following. You're the executor of that will. And you have a fiduciary responsibility to all that stuff, and you just got to do what you got to do for him. Yeah.
and I am, so just, I say that when I had seen him and walked in there, but when I left him, so this green chair that I had spoken about, whenever he was in his house, this green chair, and that's why I made sure that green chair went with him when he went to the facility. He would just sit in it. He would sit in it all day long, just sit in it. When we brought it downstairs to the memory care side, and I stuck it in this one spot, and he just sat in it, and he sat up, and he had his legs crossed, and he just sat there, and I'm going, this is what he did at home. He sat in this chair, and now here he is, being able to sit in this chair again. And so when I left there, I was in a much better, I was much, 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 much better.
Oh, good. Oh, good.
I was
So you
thrilled.
is the care better downstairs for him, obviously?
Yes, because what happens is, again, with the assisted living, they only go in 3 times a day to bring food. They don't talk, like they'll talk with you, but they won't give the extra.
Mhm.
And do you know, every single person that I came into contact with, and they knew who I was, said, I love your father. And every one of
Oh,
them,
wow.
said they are so glad that he's finally down in memory care, because that's where he needed to be.
Oh, good, 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 good. Good, 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 good. That's great to hear. That's great to hear.
And he
Excellent.
is there. And you know what? Just now, it's like, I did that. I made,
Yes, you did,
I
Robin.
helped make that happen for my dad.
Yes, yes, you did, you did, you did.
And
Ah,
he deserves it.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You're doing. Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
Oh.
yeah. Very cool, very cool, very
It was hard for my aunt. I called my aunt so she could talk to him. And when I talked to her later, she had a hard time simply because I had mentioned that I brought down 2 pictures. I took 2 pictures from the house. So now he finally has pictures in his room. And of course, you know what? In all the pictures, because the kids were younger, I was different in every one of them. But guess who looked exactly the same? Kevin.
cool. Wow, interesting.
um, anyway, when she said to me, she goes, "Oh well, you know, if I'm able to talk to him, because they had mentioned that you can call, you ask for memory care, you ask how he's doing, and there will be times that they can bring him to the phone."
Oh.
And she goes, "Oh well, then I'll ask him about the pictures." And that's where I really had to share with her that, Aunt Bonnie, he's he's not going to know what a picture is unless you bring him the picture.
Hmm.
He's not going to be able to go to the picture and tell you. You're going to have to bring the picture to him. He is at that spot. So even though he's much further along than a lot of the patients there, as far as being with it, he's still exactly where he needs to be because he's not with it.
Interesting, interesting.
Yes.
But you can keep a note of such questions, because they go in and out of the lucidity, and,
Yes.
and sometimes you catch them on a good day, they're very lucid, and then you want to have those questions ready. Oh, where those pictures? Where's this? Where's that? So, yeah,
Yes.
very helpful, very helpful. Plus, when you do have such questions, it's engaging their memory, and this is helpful for them as well.
And that's where he'll get some of that down now in memory care, where they'll do activities.
Exactly,
That's
exactly.
why they bring
Memory
him to the
cueing
food. Yeah,
activities.
the queuing.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
So, so all in all, it was a successful trip. It was in the
brilliant.
short amount of time. It was also the most restful because I mean,
Wow.
Kevin and I actually ate food there. Usually we go out because my brother's always there. We actually realized that my dad he was like a hoarder. That man had everything, but he didn't have any pots and pans. So we went out and got some pots and
He
pans.
had everything except pots and pans.
Oh.
I mean, they were old, but
That's
then
very
again,
interesting.
they always have microwave meals anyway when
Ah,
Kevin and my
ah,
father were there. But anyway, we got pots and pans. We made ourselves dinner. We made ourselves breakfast. Um, as I said, the house was coming alive again. We were just bringing love back to it, and it felt good. It felt good. So,
excellent, excellent, excellent.
but
It's
the
really,
hearing,
really cool when
listening,
things start to work.
I was doing it all. I was listening when people were sharing. I was trying to make sure that I was really hearing what was being shared with me, with my brother. I respected him. I tried to zoom out as he was being certain ways because, oh, here was something we talk about now. This is the second time this has happened now. Remember, I had changed my mind about work and went to the funeral.
Mm-hmm.
Mm,
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So in the past, when I just couldn't be bothered with everything, again, because of a lot of the controlling aspects, which I am aware of now,
mm, mm,
I had said, you know what, I didn't want the house. And now that I've been putting the blood, sweat, and tears into it, I do. And so the
mm,
nephew had come with me to visit Kevin.
mm,
And I was, I consider it putting out the bomb. I released the bomb, which was, I do want the house now.
mm,
If there's opportunity, I do want it. So that was a little bit of a left field thing. And it was interesting because I was very aware of how I was feeling, what I was saying, and how it was going to be received.
mm,
And it was another lesson in that I changed my mind for a different choice, that what I had, my intention has now become an intended of something different. And to also be aware of the reaction that others would have with me saying it, and how I was feeling as I was saying it, and in the past of how I would have reacted or felt and how I was right now. It was very interesting. It was very much a gift from the universe once again, I feel.
Mm.
To
Yeah, very,
practice.
very much. Yes,
To practice.
yes, yes. And I just want to emphasize this, just to focus attention on it. This pattern where you are getting these gifts of practice, these gifts of awareness, these gifts of implementation, gifts of application. It's consistent. It's incredible to me. When I focus on the overall pattern of it, it's like, wow, 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 wow. It's just magical. It's just what a world you live in. It's incredible. Incredible.
Oh, and Sue, you don't know this either, but I had shared this with Sil, was on the plane down to Florida. I was reading a book on cranial sacral therapy and business. I forget what the names of the ladies are. You would probably know the book. And do you know in there, it was about, remember when Sil had said, okay, I want you to do the intent, like I intend, I am. Do you know literally that was what the chapter was on, except for it went further. So I was able to understand more that I actually have to go back and do this differently, because it wasn't just the phrase I am. I had to go deeper into it. And that chapter was literally an exercise of showing, like an example of what Sil wants me to do.
Wow.
It was, I could not believe it.
Wow. I love that. I just love it. That's living in attunement and connectedness. When stuff like this comes, it is just a joy and a gift, and it's so profound and magical. It really is huge, huge, huge. Very, very cool. Very, very cool.
Awesome.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic, fantastic, fantastic. Yes, most awesome.
So thank you for letting me share, because it was
That's why we're here. That's why we're here. Point and purpose to it all. Yep, yep, yep. Very cool. Most
okay.
excellent. Where we at? Where we at?
I did not do any of the tasks because I didn't have I didn't have real access to
No
to
problem.
internet, but I did have I did do repeat backs and slides.
Excellent, excellent, excellent.
I don't remember exactly where we had. I know I had done the tasks from the last one.
Went to on page 43.
Is that where I was? That's what I thought. Okay, so then
I don't know. So we'll basically be, because I split it in two right there at slide 43. So
39
I
I have down. It says
39. So okay. So we're still on the first part one then. Okay. Yeah.
okay, so 39. I had just done the repeat back, which is people say the most incredible things. They reveal their innermost and do so without realizing they are doing so. Look at what I just did. I simply need to tweak my listening to hearing, especially hearing implications of that ever present more. Mostly I do this in what I say about others, yet it is so often completely and directly applicable to myself.
Yeah.
And here we are. I mean, you can't make this up.
Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah. It's too fascinating to me when you really listen to people and they're talking about, Aunt Mary or whatever, and blah, 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 they got Aunt Mary. And it's like, you realize, well, it's actually all about you, not them. But you can't say it sometimes. It's too amazing, It's incredible. And they give the whole farm away.
Yes.
If they only knew that and sometimes they'll reveal such incredible things, especially if you're really paying attention. It's astonishing to me what people say. It's just amazing. It's incredible. It's incredible.
that's what's really incredible about this experience, because I'm hearing myself
Mm, mm,
and I'm hearing things that have been in there for so long, but I
Mhm.
never
yeah,
I never brought them up.
yeah, 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 yeah,
I kept them stuffed.
Yeah.
yes, yes.
And if I did share them now, looking back, it was really inappropriate because it wasn't what I intended.
Mm, 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 mm. Interesting.
Where now
Eh,
when now when I'm sharing, I'm trying to be very careful about sharing to make sure what I am sharing is what I intend.
Mhm.
deliberate.
Yeah.
Deliberate, yes. Yes, which I did when we go further, definitely that was coming up.
Would you say your whole life has taken on a deliberateness to it now?
Yes.
Hell
And
yes.
and these gifts of life are just that, these amazing, amazing gifts to allow me to learn,
Mhm.
experience, practice, apply,
Mm,
and practice deliberate. Yes, practice deliberateness.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Living deliberately. That's what you're doing. You're going down to Florida. Everything you're doing is deliberate, deliberate, deliberate. You go to work, you interact, and you're hearing people. You're being deliberate when we apply hearing. And you're being deliberate in what you are saying and doing and thinking and feeling. It's all deliberate living. That's where the power comes from. Yeah.
But even the hearing and listening to others, even just this weekend, of as far as my brother goes and as far as the nephew goes, I I was more aware of how I was listening to them,
Hmm.
listening to what they were sharing. And I guess hope is not such a difficult word, but hoping that what I was hearing from them, what I did not practice though, now that I'm saying this, repeat back.
Ah, interesting. Interesting. Yeah, 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 yeah,
And maybe that's the next step that I have to bring into this, is practicing the repeat
yeah,
back.
yeah, 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 yeah. That's very huge. That's very huge, Robin. We make an effort here to be sure that we are on the same page. But, just in life in general, that's not always the case. And it's really, really useful to check and be sure that we are actually on the same page. It's very powerful. Very, very powerful. So, yeah, repeat backs are huge. Huge, 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 huge.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Ha. Okay. Here we are. Number 40.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Brilliant.
Look at what the second part of it is. Practice repeat backs.
I love when that happens. I love when that happens. So
Yeah.
good.
All right. Well, here we go. Number 40 was a task. This one I did do because this is from the other session. Engage in capital H hearing and pay a particular attention to what surprises me, what is new and different, and what did I not expect. Write it out in detail. Emphasize those new perspectives so as to train the brain to look for the unexpected. It's what makes how I help and my hearing exceptional. Practice repeat backs with friends, family, and strangers. Observe and share what happens. How did it make a difference? Explain an abstract concept like impeccability, patience, trust, etc. to friends or family, also strangers if possible. Then ask them to repeat back what they understood. What did I notice? What were the differences? And how they related to the individual. So this was from before. Again, Florida. And now my review with Doc was amazing with capital H hearing. I was paying attention, and surprises were given to me, and I accepted and relished in them. I heard more. I paused in order to listen to what was being said to me. I heard what they were saying, and I had no agenda, no forethought, and paused before responding if needed or was appropriate. Peru. As we spoke yesterday on Zoom, my moreness with abstract understanding, hearing from a once removed family member. This is the first time I have looked at these people, person, as a family. Not separate, but connection. It was humbling and welcome. And then to go a step further to hear her and just listen and be there with her, not with my old habit of response, even if I didn't present on the outside, to shut off. I welcomed and took opportunity to hear, and more was cleared and space created. Work, train the brain. Once again, listen, hear what is being said. Pause, listen, share. And here is where I have shifted. New perceptions, train the brain, new response. I responded with appropriateness. I responded with impeccability. I responded with deliberateness. Old habit, emotion, me, me. Now, yes, I was able to say exactly as I would have wanted in the past, but, big but, as appropriate to what I heard. And once I responded appropriately, a collaboration and conversation was created, and more was revealed and set in motion. Repeat backs. Oh, I did do this. Wow, with Kevin and Kathleen. By repeating back and emphasizing what they just shared, the shift was amazing. They felt heard. I listened to them and heard them. The mood was amazing. No emotional highs or lows. Acknowledgement and resolution all in the same conversation. Impactful, possible. I say this because was either situation a problem? No, but it could have turned into one. Possible. How important to hear someone, listen to them, hear what they are saying. An aha of potential exacerbation of an issue if a person who is sharing does not feel and be heard. Wow, very enlightening. Explain an abstract concept. During session, I had a client, I used this concept, trust awareness. When the session was over, we both repeated back to each other in our own way. And then the aha and clarity from the client to connect dots and become aware of feelings, physical, and memories, and how they related to them personally. This has created follow-up visits, not being as intense or looking for answers, but finding answers for self. Wonderful.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
That's right. I forgot with Kevin and Kathleen the last week.
Wow. It's fun doing repeat backs. It's helpful, right?
Yes, and I remember and watching them shift and how it could have turned into something and it didn't turn into anything. And that was
Wow.
yes.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
All right, the next task was perceive and connect. Well, this was after repeat back exercise, go over those interactions again in your mind and visualize it. The individuals involved and connect to their intent. How does perceiving and connecting to their intent make a difference? Are you seeing how these tasks and exercises are training you? Training you for what? To be what? What do you feel you need more training in? Think back on some conversations where you heard one side of a story. Make the effort to go and find out other sides to the story, as many as you can, and then write them down. Let's see what I wrote here. I'm not sure if this is going to be exactly right, but
Yeah, this is a big deal exercise. Yeah.
perceiving and connecting to intent does make a difference. Because I am using capital H hearing, I am supporting the intent of another. I am helping to create more for them, not doing, but supporting, helping them to open and be aware and find resolution to their intent versus intention. I absolutely see how these exercises are training me to pause and hear, listen to the end, and then only respond as appropriate, becoming aware of more, not only in another, but self as well. I definitely need more patience and pause. These two concepts are my main areas that inhibit my ability to hear. When I practice patience and pause, it allows me to hear and listen more, better, and to be in the moment. Think back and find the other side, Peru and work again. Both situations, I heard more in both situations. I heard the other. I did not attach my agenda. What a word, agenda. It feels ugly.
Yeah.
I'd rather have an intent. And my intent could have intention because I have to be able to listen and hear as another in order for the intent to be able to be followed through. I have to provide the opportunity for another to be heard. If not, my intent could be misconstrued by intention, and vice versa. I could potentially misconstrue another's intent by my intention to hear versus my intent to hear them. It is amazing, aha, and must be practiced and deliberate, entered into my dictionary of power under the concept of impeccability. I wish I could have gone further there, but I didn't. 42 is
On that, sorry,
go
on
ahead.
that point there about the other side of the story, particularly if you're in any way dealing with clients, every now and then you're going to get somebody who comes in with a whole long big story, and it's potentially all bogus. Just something to be aware of. Not every time, of course, not usually, but it can happen. So
Yes, because just the experience that I had this weekend, as well as all of these have been very nice for me as well, because I start to see, ooh, I've done that before too.
interesting.
That, and not intentionally,
Yeah.
but habitually.
Yeah.
Patience
Very
and
powerful.
pause.
Very
Patience and
powerful. I
pause. Patience
saw
and
I saw
pause.
something on TV yesterday. According to Harvard University, they did a whole big study on this. There's an epidemic of loneliness in America. So just to be aware, lonely people will often seek out some sort of interaction, like in a counselor or therapist or something, and they'll just make up stories just in order to justify the interaction.
The attention.
Yeah. So it just, look at it from the other side. Now, of course, with our capital H hearing, we are hearing not the story. We couldn't get two hoots about the story, but you're hearing the loneliness, you're hearing the reason for it. And then you can just surpass that and move right into dealing with that and say, that's fine. You can come hang out and chat and interact, and, you can go as appropriate to deal with it. It's just to be aware that one doesn't get kind of locked into that story, that it can happen. So I'm making the obvious point obvious here a little bit, and harping on it a bit, but it's a big deal and it does happen. So it's good to be prepared for it. Yeah. Now, of course, sometimes the whole story, sometimes it's just part of it, etc. So we have to always reserve that, ability, or not the ability, the reserve our making an assessment or judgment or conclusion or anything. You got to keep it open. It may or may not be what's being said. We don't know.
What that just brought up for me was myself.
Mm, mm,
How long the beauty of everything that we're doing here for me. I have become aware of possibility.
Yes, Robin. Yes, Robin. Yes.
And I've never lived in a world of possibility. I've never allowed myself
Yes.
possibility. And that I can choose something and it can change, and I can try something and it could be different. I have limited myself in so many different areas
Wow.
just to be talking about it, whether or not it actually happens.
Exactly,
That doesn't
Robin.
matter. But
Exactly.
I would never allow myself to even talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Wow. Wow.
Ever. Ever.
Wow. Wow.
Mm.
It doesn't matter what the end result. It really doesn't, but I would never allow myself to even try.
Yes. Wow.
Oh, God. I'm sorry.
No, no, never be sorry. Never be sorry for being real.
I don't know, that
Never
word
be sorry for
possibility
being
is
real.
just like, holy cow, what a power word.
Yes. Would you say, Robin, that Robin, you, Robin, now are possible? I am possible. How I might not know, but I am. So fantastic. You
That
step to the
was,
other side of it and you celebrate this. Man alive. Possibility. I have possibility. I can choose possibility. I can do possibility. I am possible. It's in my life now. I don't have to, but I can. It's there. It's there. And look at just how you're dealing with your father's affairs, right? Simple possibility enacted, enabled, applied, right? Implemented.
oh, wow. Okay.
How fantastic is that, Robin?
Oh, it feels good. That
All
that
right.
felt
So
good.
do me a favor, make a little note, and when you get the video at about I don't know about 50, 51 minutes in somewhere around there, but you just said about possibility, write it out from the video and send it to me, please. That was really huge. That was really huge. Also, something special. What you said. That's really, really profound. That's a big deal. That's a very big deal. Massive, massively huge, big deal. Very big shift.
Wow.
Very, very big shift. Very, very big shift. That's huge. That's huge. To really be aware that you have possibility and also to be aware that you shut yourself off from it and now you don't. Ah, what a magical thing. What a magical
You know what part
Okay.
I guess it's okay.
thing.
It's okay. Um I guess I still struggle with that ego.
Mm.
If my decisions or choices are coming from big I, little I,
Yeah. Mm.
and that possible just brought it out where there's no ego there.
There you go. There you go.
I
Or
had a, I had
it's
I had a distorted way of looking at what ego is.
mm. Let's go on
Selfishness,
to that. Let's go
selfishness.
exactly. It's short-sightedness rather than selfishness. Ego, when or selfishness is just a poor use of energy. It's short-sighted usually. When we are truly egotistical or selfish, we want the whole world to be good because that benefits us. Ultimate selfishness, right? So, in that same context, let's look at ego really closely and be really sure to recognize that ego is, like everything else, a tool, right? A tool to be used appropriately, depending on the circumstances. So it's not always bad. It is when ego dominates us and we don't have choice, that's when ego becomes a problem. So whenever ego comes into matter, say, can I choose to go this way or not?
Mhm.
See if you have choice, right? So, because sometimes you have let's just take, Beena and I were discussing this in detail the other day. Because this point of ego as a tool is a really, really huge point. This comes up for everybody. So when we look at, let's say somebody has a predilection to be an actor, a performer, like I said, but isn't that just ego wanting attention? If they can choose it or leave it, then you know it's not. If you still have that desire, but you can take it or leave it, then you know it's coming from inside rather than an ego issue, right? And you're going to do it performing whether or not there's an audience or not. Okay, now it's a predilection. So look at it in careful detail to see if this is related to the typical things that we mean by ego, which is attention and approval of others. If you can do it just for your own self and your own reasons, with nobody there, then you know, okay, this is matters to me. So pay attention. Ego is a very tricky thing, but we can certainly leverage ego, and some of ego is useful and potent and valuable. Yeah?
Mhm.
Ugh.
I mean, ego gets us off our asses, essentially.
Motivator.
It's a massive motivator, a massive motivator. But just be sure that when ego comes into the question, say, can I freely make this choice, or do I have to? And if I do have to, why? Am I being compelled by my
That
conscience,
helped.
by my honesty, my integrity, etc., right? Look at why. So, sometimes say, I like this.
That
I enjoy
helped.
this. I enjoy performing. That's fine. It's not necessarily ego. Yeah. Yeah. Ego is a tool. And we need a little bit of ego to enjoy things too, sometimes.
No, but that helped when just describing it with choice. That
Choice.
helped immensely.
Exactly. Cool, cool, cool. Yeah. Yeah.
And that word was selfishness that I was.
Yeah.
All right. Next one was
Yeah.
pay attention to when someone. So, go ahead.
I was going to say selfishness is
Uh,
a tricky word because it's kind of, it depends on the context. It's one of those contextually appropriate words. So when applied in narrow, limited context, then it's usually negative. But if you apply true selfishness to wanting the world to be good, well, the universe to be good, well, then it's a really profound, magical, sublime thing. So yeah, it's tricky. It's like ego, same thing.
but that's why I love that we have these sessions because you
Yeah,
help show the other side of
yeah.
a
Thank you.
a
Good.
concept that I
Yeah,
only had narrow thinking on.
yeah,
So thank you.
yeah. Pleasure, pleasure, pleasure.
Pay it because look at already I feel better. As soon as you said the choice, that it put a whole new
Yeah, yeah,
freeing spin on it. So
yeah. That deliberate, clear, free choice. It's huge, it's huge. In everything, in everything.
okay, pay attention to when someone I know tells a story and then retells it later. Notice how the story is different, if it is, but not because of some agenda or motivation. It can be, but simply because the memory is now triggered differently. Kevin and my friend Sandy do this. I have been with them
Mm,
at times, and I have been the one to say something, and the next time they tell the story, they have said it. Or what I
yeah,
experienced happen with them is now being described with more or less. It happens
yeah,
all the time.
yeah, yeah.
Notice.
Oh, go ahead. Oh, I was gonna say just a little why that happens is because when you really get inside a memory, the nodes flare up and get triggered, and then they connect to other things, and then now the memory modifies because of that intensity. So the next time you're actually remembering a different memory, and now the same thing happens. The nodes flare up and they connect to yet further increased nodes and increased remembrances. So it's quite a fantastic thing when you kind of run with it. And then the stories are always different, which is fantastic. You remember different aspects and different perspectives and different mourners about it. It's very cool.
I like
Celebrate it.
that. I like that.
Celebrate it. Yeah, yeah, celebrate it.
Um, Notice how when the story is different, I assume the person telling has some agenda. It's a point to pay attention to how memory and re-expression works or can work. How would this understanding and nuanced perception be of benefit to a client when it comes to asking them to reshare? Can we assume we get the details the first time? Yes, I used to assume and believe the other had an agenda. And how could you be saying this now? I said that, not you. Or you didn't say that the last time, or I was there, that didn't happen like that. What a lesson in hearing and listening. Why? Because I am learning it doesn't always matter.
Mm.
Why? Because I am now aware that there may be a shift in them, a shift to what you were just saying, a shift to more clarity for their awareness, or less if they would like to. I don't know what I wrote there. Oh, like to omit. Clarity for their awareness, or less if they would like to omit something for a reason that they may or may not be aware of. And in the end, does it matter? It's not mine to be shared. If it affects me personally, then I now know I must speak up for myself. But if not, then I must let them follow through to the end for them to express. And I am also aware we all experience an event personally. The old
Mm.
saying, my side, your side, the side.
Right.
Being impeccable. Resharing is important. I have learned this from my Zoom sessions, making sure I understand and follow through with my thought to the end. And I must afford this the same opportunity to my client. I don't believe it's fair to ever assume I get the details the first time. And I know this for me because I know and understand there is always more.
Exactly. 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 Kind of a helpful little thing here maybe is, imagine if I was, with a video camera and I'm filming away, and I happen to catch some accident or some scene that has to be investigated, and then the detective calls me into the station, and we go through, and now I'm watching my own video, right? Because that's what I saw at the time, right? So the video is exactly the same as my perception at the moment. Yeah, it's not like an external thing. And then the detectives asked me, well, what did I see? How many times could he ask me that question, and how many times could I give him a different answer?
Yes, it's true.
So exactly. It's gonna, me personally, it's gonna depend on a whole lot of factors. How quick do you want this? From what angle do you want this? Do you want the just the physical details, or do you want the implications? Do you want the intent? You want the mood of it. I can give him a whole bunch of different things, right? It's gonna very much depend on what is appropriate in the circumstance. He might say all of it, and well, I'll have to go through all of them. So it's just useful to be aware that when people share a story, they do so relative to what they perceive the question is intended or asked, or the circumstances warrant. And so the stories come out very differently depending on what they think is appropriate. So it's our job when hearing them to create space for the variations to come as well. And when they do come next time, it's no problem. Now it's different. Now I'm hearing the mood. Last time I heard the physical details. Next time I hear intent. Next time I hear implications. Next time I hear what I wished I would have seen, or whatever. It's really cool. Really cool.
That is cool.
It is cool. It is very, very cool. And when we start to listen to the abstract, we can start to hear from those different angles and even put them all together. Very, very powerful. Yeah.
Which, by the way, on Thursday, I think, yes, Thursday when it was snowing here, I got off with you. I went to work and Patrick called me and I was able to share with Patrick. I sat there because I was able to practice. He goes, "Can I just vent to you?" And I went, "Oh, here's my
Mm.
opportunity." And I just sat there and I just listened. And as much as the habit of wanting to and then when it was appropriate for me to respond, I paused. I chose my words. That later in the day, he said, "Thank you so much. I feel so much better." And I was blah, 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 blah. But
Wow.
I mean, and it was wonderful because you talk about that habit of a mom and wanting to, and I said, nope, 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 nope. Let him follow this through to the end. Let him
Yes.
go through the whole thing.
Yes.
It was a fantastic
Oh,
experience.
wow. Brilliant.
Yes,
Brilliant.
it
Brilliant.
was.
Brilliant.
Wow.
Brilliant, brilliant. So if you have that
Oh,
in your notes anywhere, put a little
no,
G
because
or a
I had
U
already,
next
oh
to it.
my gosh, I just remembered it. It was,
Oh wow! Well, make a little note there, Patrick. Conversation, implementation of listening, and then put a little kind of a note like on the in the margin or something, a big G or a U or something to indicate gift from the universe. And
Mm.
keep doing that in your notes because you get these so regularly. These
oh,
profound
yes.
gifts. It's incredible to me. I just love it. And the key question here is, sorry, before I forget, how did Patrick respond to all of this?
How did he what?
How did Patrick respond to your capital H hearing?
He loved it. It
Of
shifted, it
course.
helped shift.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
was amazing. And again, how later on he shared with me of the shift and how I could not believe it. And then to have it right there after we were literally talking about it and I had the opportunity. So yes,
Yes. Fantastic.
the
Fantastic.
stuff I'm
Fantastic.
given to practice everything
Yes.
is amazing. It's
Yes. Yes. What
crazy.
a joy. What a joy. Ah, it's too fantastic. It's too fantastic. It's different living. It's different living. Different living.
Yes. All right. The last part of this was oh, did I don't know if if this changed or not.
No
Because
worries. Keep going.
I had finished this before you had shifted it to the session 1, session 2, but it was capital H hearing is a profound skill I need to practice and hone every possible opportunity.
Mm, mm,
I
mm.
can apply this practicing to anything, to anything.
Right, right.
I can
That
hear
that was
people, the
that was
world.
sorry, that was slide 43, right?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. It's now in the new one. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so I'll probably
This
come
is
up to it.
part two. Part two. Yeah, yeah.
Um, when practicing my capital H hearing, set aside each and every idea I might have as to what might happen or might be. Let go of any beliefs about what I might hear. Forget all expectations and have the expectation to hear what I do not expect. The absolute key to capital H hearing is to let what comes come to me. Just make space for whatever will come to come. This is essential. All right, so as we'll be coming up to,
Yeah, that's actually slide 3 of part 2. Just for your notes there. I added in a
oh,
quote
so
or
no,
transferred
this
a
is
quote across. So yeah,
okay. So you know what? If you don't mind, because I didn't have a takeaway with that and I did it yesterday.
I'll do it now.
Yes. So my takeaway was follow through to the end.
Mm,
Visiting my brother, no expectation, shock at his appearance. Then listen to what he told. I say this because unfortunately, or fortunately, I am now very aware of the difference between telling and sharing. He was telling what's to be done. I listened. Then I shared my intent, which was different than I had shared before. My choice changed once again, and I stood up for what felt right for me, with no malintent for someone else or me feeling bad because I changed my mind. Another test. I listened and heard and did not like what I was hearing, but allowed my brother to be heard. Then I left. Next day saw my dad, and my decision was now intent. If I was unknowingly wavering on intention and intent, clarity became apparent, and that had to do with the house. Um, my session, I have to wait for this to load up, but on the session 2, the repeat back of the second one, to go back to the kind of like the first one was making others feel heard is not just listening, capital H, hearing, is when I hear with receptivity, no judgments, no expectations, no obligations to share. It's only attention, capital A attention, which leverages another to not only enable venting if needed, but also making sure I am seeing, listening, and hearing. I make the other feel I am their companions. excuse me, not analysts or observers.
Not analysts or observers, but companions. Wow.
Yes, thank you, Beena B. That was,
Wow.
and
Wow.
thank you because that,
No, 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 no. Beena,
Yes.
I got to underline that.
just want to hear from you, Beena.
I'm amazed by the power of capital H hearing because and how universe respond to us, and this is what is happening like throughout this journey with Robin. Also, that the opportunities she's getting, her son, your husband, and especially your father, without having any sort of communication, is still you are hearing him, and this is so amazing for me that you are able to hear him. That's like,
That's
oh my God,
huge.
how these things can happen and how perfect the timing of universe is for you. When we were discussing about you to join this capital hearing, and I was sharing with you that Robin, you will hear more to yourself, to universe, to your relationships, and
Mm,
this is going to change everything. And I had no idea that you will get this opportunity where you can hear your father.
mm,
I had no idea. And now you are able to hear him without him needing to say anything at all.
Thank you. Oh, wow. You just brought more. Thank you.
And one more beautiful thing about you, when you said that sometimes you share stories or something, and your husband and your friends, they just simply say that, oh, I was there and I said this and I did that. I feel it is just my personal perspective that you are such an amazing storyteller. You are really good with
mm.
sharing. They get so immersed into that. They get
Oh,
so
Christy.
involved. Their mind just could not differentiate between at those moments they were saying or you were saying. They get so immersed into that. It's
Mm,
not there that they just forget that, oh, you were saying that. Sometimes some people become so amazing storytellers and sharing. Their sharing
mm.
becomes so profound, so everybody else just gets so immersed into that. And the experience becomes so lucid, they feel that, oh, we were there.
Yeah,
We were feeling that. So
yeah.
mind just cannot differentiate between the real and the false, and they say, "Oh, I did that. I was there." So you are such an amazing storyteller.
And story listener.
Exactly.
There's storytellers and there's story listeners. Both are skills that we can create and develop. Yeah.
Yes.
It's a different thing to hear somebody and be a story listener. Not exactly the same, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, what Bina said, how incredible it is that you're now in a situation and a position where you can hear your father, not just your father, but your brother and Kevin, your children, but even more so. You're in a position where you can hear yourself. That's what you were doing earlier with the possibility, right? You were hearing yourself.
Oh,
Yeah. No, it's cool. The emotion is you hearing your magical heart, right, Bina?
Yes. Absolutely.
I'm going to depths that I didn't even know were there.
Wow. That's really music to our ears and music to our heart. Bina,
Yes.
you're connecting to your mourners. Oh. It's celebration time. It's celebration time. Possibility. Monas is possibility. Robin equal Monas equal possibility, or Robin equal possibility equal Monas. It's all connected, right? Nice little circle or a triangle. It's a big deal, in other words, yeah?
Yes. All your energy investment in this capital H hearing, your effort, your time, everything, everything. Now, just by being able to hear your father, it's worth. It's worthy enough for everything, like, because this is something very, very rare, unusual in many cases, because people are not able to hear. Even when people are communicating very well, still it's not possible to hear them completely and capital H hear them. And here you are hearing a man who is not communicating in that way.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And
I'm
let's just
just
speak.
laughing.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I no, you go ahead first. It's
I was saying, to hear like you're hearing your father. If I'm hearing Beena, I'm doing a little bit of a repeat back here now, since that's the thing too, right? A repeat back takeaway. If I'm hearing what Beena's saying when she says you hear your father, right? She's to me, she's picking up on or communicating and sharing that she heard you
Hmm.
hearing your father's mourners, because that's
Yes,
certainly what we heard when we shared, right, Beena?
Mhm.
exactly. Because it is more than just usual communication.
All right.
This is how you are perceiving him. You see his moreness, you see everything, and you are hearing him. It's a big
Right,
gift, a big, huge gift.
right.
And you earned it very well, Robin. You truly earned it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Right. Plus, you're hearing your own mourners. That possibility. That's mourners.
Mhm.
Yes.
Your own mourners. Big deal. Big, 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 big,
you
big,
know, when I
massive,
walked
big
into
deal.
that room, I when I first walked into that room and saw him, you talk about habit, and it's really interesting now because I was aware of walking into that room and seeing him and the shock and being aware of a habit of fear
Mhm.
where I would have shut down, or I wouldn't say shut down. I would have gone into automatic stuff it mode, not being present, just kind of. And at that same moment, here we are talking about sharing a story differently, coming from a different angle. At that, all in this split second was the shock, the being aware of a habit, as well as the shifting to break past the habit, to go further, to be present in the moment, to do what had to be done. And in all of that, it was freeing. It was a
Wow.
very
Wow.
freeing moment because I I didn't shut down. I didn't go into automatic mode. I was I took the opportunity to use the tools that I had learned, to be aware of looking at Kevin, of how upset I was, to know that, okay, I'm upset, but there's a job to be done here. I'm aware of that they can only do what they can do here. I was very, yes, wow, 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 wow.
Mm.
In that split moment, all the possibilities that were happening, all the different connections, all the different mourners, all the different, at that one precise moment, all happening at one time.
Mm.
How interesting.
That is huge. That is huge. All our lives, we've kind of been trained to just see one thing, to look for one thing. What's the answer? There isn't a answer. There are many answers. Always we train this one thing at a time, but it's always multiple. Always. It's always more. It's always multiple things happening simultaneously. So this is a huge deal. So please just say it again if you don't mind.
It's the connection, and I'm looking at your screen behind you about just the swirls, and it's as if all at one moment you see her there, just everything is happening at that precise moment.
Mm, mm.
And that's exactly, now going back, that's exactly what happened. Wow, it was like
Yes.
every single concept in one precise moment,
Yes.
as well as
Yes.
the choice to choose what, including what are you going to do at this particular. I can't even. It's, oh my gosh, it's
You allow.
experience. I'm good. That was.
You are good. You are very good. Yes, I agree.
Yeah, no,
You are fantastically good.
that was an amazing aha again.
Say it
But
again.
there's no words. Again, this goes back to that I needed the physical body to experience. But now this is going back. At that moment. Wow, 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 wizardry,
Yes,
wizardry. Oh
wizardry,
my
absolutely. And look,
gosh.
when you looked at my background, you said see her there.
Yes.
Mhm.
I find that really, really fascinating. Your connectedness. You're part of the universe. All the stuff swirling around you. I mean, I don't see any her in there, but when you said you saw it, it's fantastic. It's fantastic. Really, really cool. You were gonna say something, Sue?
No, it's just that
This was in your
that
phone,
she
my nose.
let be aware of what was happening, and it shifted everything. It's the proof in the pudding. When you are in unawareness, you go back to those old habits and you're on autopilot. And
Yeah.
now, because of that awareness, the old stuffing it down and so forth just didn't have an opportunity to be there.
It didn't. It didn't. It was
You
in a
chose.
split second. I mean, just,
Mhm, mhm.
and it's over. It's so being present in that moment, because wow, wow, wow,
And
wow.
your intent to do what was right for your father fueled that. You were already in that awareness, and so then it was easy, in a sense. We make things difficult, and it's not necessary
Yeah,
most
but
of the.
it's these tools.
Oh,
Yes.
ah,
The intent to do right for your father came from your internal integrity, conscience, impeccability, your own internal sobriety and sensibility and moreness, your own deep intent to goodness. You're just now connecting to it in a way that you can apply it and use it and put it into action. Yes?
Yes. I mean, it was the courage. Wow.
Yes. When we are connected to conscience, courage is easy.
mhm.
I'll say it again. When we are connected, when we are deeply connected to conscience and we are fully aware of it, courage is easy. All mothers have courage when protecting their babies. That's it. Because this is a duh. Conscience has even come into it. It's just a duh thing. But how can you not? It's just unconscionable. That's where the word unconscionable comes from, right?
But just for me,
Hmm.
that wasn't so
Wow.
when
Wow.
when they were younger and how I was.
Wow. Wow.
Say that again,
Wow.
Rob?
Fear was huge with me.
Hmm. But fear is not courage.
No, but the thing is that now I'm that way.
Hmm. Well, I'm trying to say though, when we experience fear, doesn't mean we're not courageous. Did you keep going at that time, or did you give up and quit?
No, I kept going.
There you go. That's courage. But you're experiencing massive fear and you keep going. That's courage, Robin.
But it's also habit.
I agree, but nonetheless, sometimes it's appropriate, that fear. I don't know what to do with my babies. I don't want to mess up, but you keep going. When you are kind of ignorant and unaware, sometimes fear is very appropriate. It sharpens you, it makes you more alert, but it also you kept going. So you had massive courage.
But I didn't have the follow through that I
That
have
may be
now.
so, but still, you kept going as best you could with the tools that you had at hand. You did keep going. You did keep going. You made the best of it. That doesn't mean making the best of it is doing it ideally. That's never the case, especially with parenting. So you have to trust that whatever you did was appropriate in the circumstance.
Mhm.
I look at this and we see this daily.
Right.
How parents' mistakes turned out to be profoundly, phenomenally useful and valuable for their children all the time. You never know. You never know. So you just have to trust that that was just what it's meant to be. There's nothing else you can think. That's it. Meant to be. Meant to be. Meant to be. And it's also meant to get you to this position where you're at now, where you can see the difference between then and now. And this is a profound soul lesson. This is a shift of your deepest, deepest, deepest self. Yeah. Which, you can call it soul if you want to. Same thing. Big deal, Rob. All this, there's all a logic and a sensibility to it. No matter how stupid we were in the past, there's always some kind of a logic and a sensibility to it. Yeah.
No, and
And
it's crazy because it's almost, the feeling sometimes of, I had this a little bit yesterday.
yeah,
When we look at, when I look at, different choices and I'm going, wow, in the universal um, way of being, is this all that I've been through and all that I've done and all that I've learned been for this precise moment?
yes, 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 Robert, yes, yes, yes,
And to be in it, Kevin and I had a really on the way to the airport yesterday about choices and should we be choosing differently and really sitting there with choices that we would like to make, trusting how they're going to turn out, to keep going on the way we're going. How there was green lights for this choice, green lights for this choice, green lights for this choice, and now we're talking about shifting and will it change the outcome and not knowing and then coming right back to trust and just staying right where and being and doing it, it's and actually just having that conversation of just that, not needing not needing an answer. It was pretty cool.
that's very cool now. Very cool.
All right, so number 4 was capital H hearing is also about feeling another, feeling beyond them. Oh God, this touches I am feeling moreness, feeling intent, feeling what's unsaid. I am especially feeling implications. Be careful, though, to feel past the emotions of the client. There's more to feel. Here, I mean feel as an active, outgoing process of exploration and discovery, rather than a passive incoming, only receiving. I am to have my own moreness activated by feeling the entirety of matters. This to me just like what Beena said is hearing my dad. This
Hmm.
just reminds me of my dad, an opportunity to practice.
Mm.
Number 5, paying exquisite attention to implications is a profound power skill, which opens up the world. An essential skill I have to constantly practice and exercise. Absolutely everything has implications. Practice this whenever I am looking at, dealing with, or hearing anything at all. My takeaway on this was John and the house, me changing my decision, and him coming back with Dad's loops of dementia. I could expand on that. John not understanding the whole situation, and me understanding too much. Hearing bits and pieces, yet not at all. Implications of choosing differently. Implications reveal the world. This was just John bringing up that, because I had mentioned that my dad has been in these loops for a long time and he will get on loops. At one point, he was on the loop of John, having John have John have the house. But prior to that, it was me on the house. Prior to that, it was Kevin on the house. So it's John not understanding because he's really not, never really a part of the family, so to speak. So not understanding that dad just gets into those loops. So you can't take anything dad says 100%. You have to look past, you have to zoom out and really look past and see the situation for what it is. So that's where that was coming from.
Very interesting.
Yeah, because he brought it up to me a couple of times. And I just had to sit with that I understand where dad's at. I understand that he doesn't know where dad's at. And also hearing more and learning more of what people have shared with me about John and starting to see the bits and pieces and whatever. Number 6, repeat back. The implication that I can be utterly and completely wrong in my perceptions, in my hearing, in my understanding, in my beliefs, thoughts, insights, in absolutely everything is one I must never ever forget and keep present at all times. I need to always have it present, as this is what causes so much trouble. I think I know, the client then thinks I know, and I can be completely wrong. When I hear, really, really hear what comes from beyond me, from deep inside, and bypasses my ideas and beliefs, expectations and limitations. That is, if I were open to being wrong and open to setting myself up to one side in order to go beyond myself. I didn't do a takeaway on this, but I will now. And the biggest thing is just this was so profound when I was writing this because I only know me. It's so important to say I know someone because I don't. I can assume. And boy, have I done that a lot in life. And again, the gifts of Florida to be wrong, to hear somebody. Wow. So to make sure that there's this tug of war in my head of don't must. And I'm going to choose must. I must be impeccable. I must pause. I must hear. And I must be patient in order to hear.
Yes.
Because it is so not fair to the other person. It's wrong to not allow that space for them. And who am I? Who am I to put words in another person's mouth.
Mhm. Mhm.
I can never ever forget how possible it is for me to be totally wrong. I have to stay humble, deliberately aware, present. This is most important. If I am wrong, then I must be aware so as to learn for next time I am presented with a life gift. This is a tough class today.
Oh, it's a beautiful session. Beautiful, 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 beautiful.
This is one of those
Okay.
humble pie sessions. I'm going to be full when I'm done.
No, it's not humble pie. It's magical. It's just you're connecting to your own magical moreness, and it's so brilliant and cool and awesome and fantastic. It's just fantastic, fantastic, fantastic.
Yeah. And all those things you talked about: impeccability, pausing, hearing, patience, being wrong, accepting that, being humble, being deliberately aware. Ego just can't fit in that realm.
Right.
You knock it right out.
Right.
And again, it's a choice, just like everything else.
Mm,
You
mm,
know what phrase keeps coming up for me? That instrument of peace, St.
Mhm.
Francis. So all I ever hear in my head that I want to be an instrument of peace.
wow.
And I hear it all the time,
Wow.
all the time, all the
Wow.
time, all the
Wow.
time.
Wow.
And
Wow.
the work I do is because I just want to be an instrument of peace
Mm,
for
mm,
others, for self. And that's what happened at that funeral. I mean, I felt it before, but that's what happened at that funeral.
mm, mm.
Number 8, I possess the skill of connecting to implications. It's what's kept me alive in the jungle. However, many have lost the habit of connecting consciously to implications. Those implications lurking outside the awareness bubble are usually what problems are all about. Hear those implications, and I will hear another. Again, be scrupulously careful to not tell to the other what those implications are. Simply hearing is almost always enough to reflect those implications back to the individual. It's important to understand that awareness is interactive. My thoughts and feelings are not nearly as private as I'd like to think.
Wow. Wow.
The next couple were tasks, so I have to go back and do those. So I went to number 12. The setting aside of beliefs is absolutely essential to the acquisition of real awareness. My takeaway was yes, belief. How many times have my beliefs interfered with my judgment? There is a difference for me of what I believe to be true and what my belief of truth is.
Mm,
I have to believe in me, trust me, and then I can find strength, courage, awareness, deliberateness.
mm,
But if I rely on my beliefs, I must be careful of the implications. I could be wrong, and this I must be prepared for. 13. My hearing is also based on connecting deliberately to the awareness of another. Being aware, being deliberately, fully, and consciously aware is my foundation from which all else flows. Capital H hearing and helping without helping is all based on awareness.
mm,
It's essential I set myself to be aware, to be in awareness. This means I am not in a bubble of trying to be clever. a bubble of trying to help, a bubble of trying to solve, or any other bubble. 14. I need to be outside all bubbles in order to actually hear, see, and perceive what is actually going on with the client. I aim to not fall into the trap most do, which is to limit their awareness and perceptions by not being completely open to what is outside their usual understandings. My takeaway: I need to be in the zone, my zone, checking my awareness, being deliberate, accountable to self. If I am not in this awareness zone, then I must shift perspective, zoom out, and pause, follow through, and then check again to be as appropriate with my energy management as I possibly can, and to provide an atmosphere to hear, see, and perceive with the client. That's as far as I got.
Ah, wow.
It's beautiful today how many times you have heard exactly what you're saying yourself. You
That's
hear
why
your,
I'm so.
I know, it's it can get very emotional because you are hearing that, you are feeling it, you're doing the work, girl.
Mm,
It's
mm.
fabulous.
Most fantastic.
You know what's so
Most.
funny is that I don't even know what I'm doing.
That's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of it. Do
Yeah.
you trust yourself now?
As I was about to say, I'm just trusting and being and
There you go. That's the key. That's the key. At some point, we know too much to know consciously what we do.
Mm-hmm.
We know too much to consciously know what we're doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Therefore, we have to trust.
Mm-hmm.
That's daily the thing that we have to work on. I'm saying for me and Beena and Sue, right? You too. I'm just saying from a facilitator point of view, that's absolutely it. And a capital H hearing point of view, you have to trust that what will come as appropriate. You don't know. You don't know. You don't know. We're always in this situation because we know too much.
Mm-hmm. Take a couple deep breaths, sunshine. Yeah, you need them.
Why?
Yeah.
Why? Why? Why?
wow. It's all good. It's all good. It's all good.
It is. It is all good. Yes. It
Do we
is.
need to
It
do
is.
anything?
It is. Do
What
we
was
need
that,
to
Beena?
watch Beena?
Just asking that do we really need to do anything besides just being there, besides just hear them?
No. No. That is just it.
And you are doing this.
Okay. Well, let's go back to Dad. So when we were down in the new room, that being aware, that practicing, that just being and not having to do anything, and then being aware of Kevin trying to do something and say something and knowing that he doesn't have to, but just being aware of watching it from the other side of someone.
Yes.
It was just as much of a lesson, and being aware and being given a gift again of having the opportunity to see what it looks like.
Mm.
And also, again, universe assisting you, providing you opportunity to just be yourself and practice Kepler hearing, and all others are doing.
Yes.
Mm.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Well, if it's okay, I need to kind of
Yeah.
get myself ready for work today.
No problem.
I can't.
No
I can't
problem.
just run out today.
No. Oh.
No, what time do you go in?
I have to be in for 9, but usually I'm running in. After we get off, I just run in. But I need to go to the bathroom and kind of freshen up a
Yeah.
bit.
So before you go, real quick, for next time, there was a special task, right? And you did do that, and we'll do that next time. Yeah.
The one I am and yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, and
Okay. We'll do that next time. We'll do that
I
next
did
time.
that on my way down. I have a, and again,
Ah,
we'll have to
cool.
go over this to make sure
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Brilliant. 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 All right. All right.
Thank
Just
you.
love it. Love it.
Thank
And
you.
I'm hoping you're going to spend the whole day just loving and appreciating yourself. Okay.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Robin Appreciation Day. There we go.
Hey,
RAD. Rad. See? Rad.
There you go. Don't get stop.
Brilliant.
aw.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Share it with the world. Share it. Share it. Just enjoy yourself. Enjoy yourself. Appreciate yourself. Fantastic.
You
Fantastic.
got it. Have a fantastic day.
Oh, you too, magical Robin. Bye bye. Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye
Bye.
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 So brilliant. So cool. So cool.